1VI.
It is 16 minutes past 7 o'clock. Great to have your company here at Pacific Mornings. Now, an Auckland-based business has found itself at the centre of a growing cultural debate. Now, Vibes Kava, co-founded by Charles Byram and Derek Hillen, operates out of a kombucha taproom in Grey Lynn and offers its own take on traditional kava practices. But as kava bars begin to emerge in New Zealand and elsewhere, questions around cultural appropriation, authenticity and the future of kava as a cornerstone of Pacific identity are becoming harder to ignore. Critics argue that businesses like Vibes Kava risk commodifying a deeply rooted cultural tradition, while others see them as part of a broader evolution. So, to explore these questions further, Todd Henry, the co-owner of Four Shells Kava in Auckland, joins us now to discuss this. A very good morning to you. Thanks for your time.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
Look, what's your response to the argument that perhaps some marketers have, ultimately crossed the line from cultural appreciation to appropriation when it comes to kava sales?
Yeah, it does happen, I guess. I'm not speaking about anybody specifically, but I think when the marketing portrays kava as something that is just a replacement for alcohol, a party thing, something, portrayed in a way that doesn't, preserve the essence of what Phi Kava is. It is a thing that I've seen over the years.
Right, okay. And with that in mind then, I suppose it kind of begs the question, should ethnicity determine whether someone can run a kava business?
Well, I'm obviously a Palangi myself, but I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one. I would like to see kava stay in the Pacific for, in the Pacific community, largely for, it's from the islands. A lot of the islands don't export anything but kava. But in saying that, I don't think ethnicity should be a barrier, but it's how the person, of whatever ethnicity they are, comes into the kava space, what the reasons are, how they've learned about kava, and just what the overall intention is.
Right, okay, I get you. In terms of just following on from what you've just said there, how do you honour then the cultural Pacific practices of kava when you are coming from perhaps an outsider's perspective? Or perhaps not even using that word outsiders, but just from a different perspective.
Yeah, I learned about kava exclusively in the Pacific, particularly in the Tongan community in Tonga and here. My wife is Tongan. So for me, it's just again, the intentions of what are the intentions of Phi Kava? It's to bring people together. It's to have downtime. It's to share stories and information, and I think that's the best way to preserve it is just honoring kava for what it is and what function it serves in society and teaching other people about that. We get people who come into Four Shells every day that seem to think kava is just something that they can get high off of, or sorry, I got this one here. Something that they can use as a means to get high or drunk or things like that. And we have to correct those, those narratives, those misconceptions around kava. And it's a lot of work, but we do it one person at a time.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. I suppose with that in mind then, look, let's just take how do you feel about, a sacred cultural practice being bottled and reduced to labels such as buzzy kava or chill kava, those kind of names attached to it?
Yeah, I don't really like the use of the word ceremony and so forth in terms of marketing or we like at Four Shells, we're very careful around using those terms, ceremony or those are reserved for particular people for particular purposes in particular times and places. We take more of an approach that's like, I guess it is definitely inspired and informed by the Vanuatu Nakamal scene, which are informal kava bars where people come together and drink kava in a place where ceremony is, of course, respected, but it's not a part of the whole package of it's just people drinking kava. Yeah, I've seen this is another thing I've seen over the years. People in other parts of the world offering kava ceremonies, or people thinking that to drink kava is to partake of ceremony. But I don't think it's right to package that up and use it as a marketing tool, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Okay. And in terms of what needs to be done in that space, then, what do you think in terms of what are the solutions here to kind of stamp down on this, this debate that's going on at the moment?
I mean, I think really it's education at the end of the day. Kava to a lot of people, non-Pacific people, is a very new thing, a very misunderstood thing, and it's yeah. If we continue on the path of education, letting people know what kava, what it is, what it does, the reasons it's consumed traditionally, and just always reminding people that just because you're drinking kava is not a ceremony. Um, I think that's the best way to do it, rather than, I don't know of any other way to stamp down on it, I guess, if you put it that way. It's just got to have more time for people to understand it, and I guess move away from like gimmicky marketing practices. That was what we see a lot of. And again, I'm not speaking of anyone in particular, but we see a lot of this, and especially with some kava products in the United States. It's there's nothing to compare it to in, I guess, certainly in the United States, or in Palangi culture, if you want to put it that way. There literally is nothing that brings people together on an open-ended basis just to talk. Everything's got to be about, yeah, turning it up or getting drunk or high or whatever it is. So I think as time goes and more people understand kava for what it actually is, then things will settle into place. That's what I like to think, anyways. We just put a lot of emphasis on respecting kava, respecting the places it comes from, the people who grow it, the traditional cultures that have created it for what it is. But in saying that, there is no one culture that has the license on kava. Like sometimes Tongans will come in and say their perspective, but Fijians will say a different way. And I enjoy hearing those conversations and debates. I don't necessarily join them, but I observe.
Yeah. Look, I mean, how do you navigate the fine line, just very quickly, between innovation and disrespect when adapting traditional kava practices for a commercial setting?
Innovation and disrespect. Again, I think anything that deviates away from the essence of what kava drinking is, um, does a disservice to kava. Kava is not something that you drink in isolation by yourself to get high, drunk, whatever you want to say. Um, it's something that brings people together. So if a particular kava product um, like performs that function, if it's bringing people together and it's in an alcohol-free space, and it's people are talking and spending time and building relationships, then I think that's the ideal model for any kind of kava kava space, contemporary kava space or product. But at Four Shells, we just sell regular kava powder mixed with water only. I think the bitterness of kava is a part of the kava experience overall. Um, I always use the analogy, like, people get tattoos even though they hurt, right? Kava tastes bitter, but it's not
Yes.
about the taste.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Hey, thank you very much for your time this morning. That is Todd Henry, the co-founder of Four Shells Kava in Auckland. You have a good rest of your day, eh?
Oh, thank you so much. Mal.